We've seen war. We don't want war. But if you want war with the United States of America, there's one thing I can promise you, so help me God. Someone else will raise your sons and daughters.
Kiss my ass. They're criminals. It is a hole. You ever been there?
He says what everyone else is thinking.
I'm dedicated to it. I can't be stopped.
All right. Are you sharpening your arrows, America? Have you got a bare razor head to discover the life-producing pump station disconnect with some bloody fletching because you're doing God's work? Welcome back to the Ted Nugent Spirit Campfire on the real, honest-to-God American's voice. And next to me is the honest-to-God, real American's voice, Spirit Campfire, Queen of the Forest, Little Miss Dangerous. Greetings, everybody, and welcome back. And Shemaine, we could go into the treachery. It's unlimited, unprecedented treachery. But you know what we're going to start? When I sharpen my old bear razor head, the way Fred Bear taught me. No matter how much treachery, I have sanctuary. You give me sanctuary. I love you. Thank you for the sanctuary.
Is that metaphorical?
It is metaphorical. Yes, indeed. You should be sharpening your broadheads, America. But anyhow, so I know how I find sanctuary, and I provide sanctuary. Truth, logic, and common sense is sanctuary. Goodwill and decency, good over evil, positive spirit, positive attitude, positive energy. We reek, we stink of that. And her stink is really yummy. But anyhow, I find sanctuary. Shemaine, you have enlightened and inspired and motivated, stimulated the great warrior American spirit in so many people with your real America's voice, faith and freedom. My God, isn't that what Donald Trump said at the Republican National Convention? How did you know that before Trump said it?
Oh, wow. Well, God is on our side, and I think this was a wake-up call. The assassination attempt on President Trump was a wake-up call, not only to us Americans, but to him. And you noticed a different tone in his voice, and he was more humbled. This nation, this country has to return to putting God at the center of everything that we do. It's what our founding fathers wanted, and now it's quite obvious. I mean, you saw all the speakers, they were all referring to God. And you know, I've seen video of Democrats even saying, I want what they have. They're coming to our side because we are humbled. We are returning this country to God, family and country values that our founding fathers originally wanted.
Yeah, it's so obvious. You know, we celebrate not my truth, not a truth, not a presumptive truth, not an opinion truth, but the founding fathers were touched by the hand of God to identify self-evident truth. We all know it's true. We all know that good should reign over evil. And everybody we know, Shemaine, I just dropped my phone and broke the charging unit, but because I have a belt tool, on my belt, numerous belt tools of various caliber on my belt, I was able to fix my iPhone. So I think no matter how treacherous and how painful, how ugly, how heartbreaking our government has become, and we have seen almost blinding light in the tragic darkness of Uncle Sam's espionage against the American dream. I hope people were watching the Republican National Convention. Eric Trump, Kai Trump, that 17-year-old granddaughter, holy smokes on every level. That brought a humanity, and they all referenced what you have been studying in the Bible, that now is the time that we wear the armor of God. I saw the armor of God at every speaker. Tucker Carlson is something else. Kid Rock. Kid Rock. Boy, does he come from the Ted Nugent Motor City Madhouse, Madman School of Rhythm and Blues, Rock and Roll, Fire Breathing. And when Don Jr. came on stage, the band played Stranglehold. What the hell else would they play? So we are tuned in. We're in touch with the Trump campaign, the Trump family. And we convey not the Trump opinions, but the declaration of our independence. And you started getting into this many years ago. When I first
You've
was
created
raising
a
hell,
monster.
when I'm doing rock and roll radio and reviews about a tour, a new record, or a Sunrise Safaris hunt, by the way, we got 20 working hard, playing hard right down the road at Sunrise Acres. Ralph and George and Paul and Jim, everybody's down there. Guys are knocking down angry pork, pure organic, free-range pork. And I'm going to join them. So I feel buoyant every day, working with the dogs, waking up and kissing you, drinking our Minutemen coffee. But when did you see the calling that you knew there was ugliness and corruption by bureaucrats? When did the light go off after you watched me raising hell? Were you uncomfortable with me raising hell at first?
Only a couple of times. Yeah, I was, but you know, it has worn off on me when I first started recognizing that things are not going the way that we should. Is when we got sick and I almost died from toxic mold. No doctors could help me. I had heart attack symptoms, flu-like symptoms, migraines. I had to become my own investigative sleuth. I had to become a seeker.
Independent.
Fast
You declared
forward-
your independence.
Fast forward to 2020 and COVID. Things weren't adding up. I once again went, no, we're not taking an experimental shot. No, we're not taking those drugs.
And the mask is going to make us breathe our own exhaling over and over again, which is proven to be medically dangerous.
Yeah, and the 6 feet social distancing. Do you know what they were doing in China? They were doing, you know how we had to do.
You mean from the China virus?
From the China virus. We had to do nasal swabs, which we never did. But they were doing anal swabs, Ted.
Sure they were.
The corruption of this deep state around the world is abominable, and Trump is the man that can fix it.
Bottom line, my friends, my name is Ted Nugent. I wrote Wang Dang Sweet Poontang, and I meant it. I wrote Fred Bear, and I meant it. I wrote Spirit of the Wild, and I meant it. I wrote Strangle. I don't really write these songs. I unleash them with my Gibson feedback, noisy, grooving rhythm and blues, rock and roll masterpiece, Kalamazoo guitar. But think, I started thinking when I became a teenager and people offered me dope and alcohol and smoking cigarettes behind the barn. I would think, America, I see an explosion of thinking, critical thinking. Think, what are you putting in your grocery cart? Think, what are those ingredients? Can you pronounce them? Would you feed it to your baby? Think. People are thinking critically. It became a new colloquialism, but I've always adhered to the premise of individual thinking to scrutinize conditions, so-called peer pressure. I don't have any peers, and no one's capable of pressure except this guy.
You really don't have any peers
I
at all.
don't have any peers. Because.
But you're right. Sadie, Coco,
and
Jackson and me, we do influence you. We can sway your opinion.
So, Shemaine, thank you. I love you so
welcome.
much. I love coming home from I killed my 73rd raccoon last night, hence my bloody arrows out of my Matthews bow. I find sanctuary in the great spirit of the wild. We have a supporter here called Tuck Tech Kayaks. Go to Tuck Tech Kayaks.
I can't wait to try it.
It literally, the spirit of the wild, the outdoors, God's miraculous healing powers of nature will consume you, eliminate stress. When you're in the great outdoors and you breathe easy, whether you're hunting, fishing, or trapping, or just hiking and absorbing, embracing the cacophony, the soul-cleansing orchestra of the bird song that is everywhere. We're in the United States of America. We have great clean air, soil, and water, producing great wildlife. We have a friend from Whitetail Products Gone Wild. We have mad scientists at Big and J and Red Chain Feeds, and people that are creating wildlife enhancing attractants and fortifying nutrients and minerals. Get outdoors, buy some of these products, put them in your backyard. I don't care if you live downtown. You put some Whitetail Product Gone Wild in your backyard in downtown Detroit, and there will be more songbirds. There's more pheasants down there. The point is, we have a Spirit of the Wild TV show on the Pursuit Channel, 8 times a week, 35 years running. And
I wasn't raised in a bow hunting family. I wasn't raised in a rock and roll family.
She's raising me. So Shemaine is the queen of the forest. Watch our Spirit of the Wild show on the Pursuit channel. And while you're celebrating the outdoor connection, the healing powers of nature, there is no corruption. There is no indecency. There is no treasonous Democrat Party and the deep state that tried to kill President Trump. I don't know anybody. I know some really smart people and some really not so smart people. The dumbest people I know were great people, but the least educated, dumbest people I know, if you took them to Butler, Pennsylvania and said, you know, let's say you're in charge of securing this area for the president's event, what would you do? I don't know anybody that wouldn't have secured the rooftop. They did it on purpose.
Not only secure it, once they saw it, I would have stopped at nothing to climb up there, risk my life, swear to God, and jump on that guy and stop him and do something.
I would have shot him.
Well, that's
I
true.
would have touched off some rounds, then hid, because by touching off the rounds, it would have alerted the good Secret Service agents, because there are a bunch of them. But my God, literally, my God, your God, the great Lord Almighty, saved President Trump for times such as this. Pray for the Trump family. Pray for America. Tune into Shemaine's Faith and Freedom every Sunday on Real America's Voice. Tell everybody you know there is a faith and freedom, truth, logic, and common sense warrior, Joan of Arc, the female Michael the Archangel. Boy, there's a metaphor. Anyhow, we'll be back in just a minute. I love you. I love Shemaine. I love America. I love Trump. I crave freedom.